What's up, guys? Today we're going to be working on a 2003 Chevy Suburban. A couple weeks ago I did the cold air intake video. We installed that. Talked about how I wanted to do a lot of other things, a lot of little upgrades and stuff like that. Well, I bit the bullet and I spent the money. So I am doing today the electric fan upgrade. I've already went and got the truck tuned for the electric fans because you have to do that. Again, this is a 2003 Chevy Suburban 1500 5.3 two-wheel drive. Nothing really big done to it. The only thing done to it now, as we sit, is the cold air intake and magnaflow exhaust. But I'm tired of it looking like a soccer mom car, man. I just can't do it anymore. I mean, yeah, it's a Suburban. Yeah, it sounds good. You know, it's got, aggressive all-terrain tires and stuff like that. But it just doesn't say dad, man. It says soccer mom. And I mean, especially since I'm rolling around with my car seats, I got a whole tribe, man. I got kids, got 4 of them myself. So when we go out, man, we need the family wagon. And we need to look like, a dad truck, not the whole soccer mom car. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're doing. I've kind of gotten into it already and started a little bit. I will show you exactly what I've done. Let's see. So far, I went yeah. Alright, so we have fan shrouds out on the floor there. Up here, I went ahead and did the released the hose clamp here from the water pump and pulled this hose off from the radiator, the one that comes over here. I just went ahead and bent it back and set it up top over there where it's not going to leak anything out, because we are dripping a little bit here. That's because I did not drain the fluid first. I wasn't planning on draining it anyways. I'll just go ahead and top it off later. But I did put a rag in here so that way I could make sure I'm not getting anything inside of my coolant system itself. And I don't care if it, wicks a little bit out, and obviously it's going to drip some, but whatever. Then I took out the other line over here, this one here that runs up, and just went ahead and zip tied it back here up with the other lines for right now, just so it's out of the way. Now that the fan shroud's out and you can see how much room's back there and everything like that, obviously the difficult part is going to be getting this off. I already went ahead and knocked it loose. You can see that it's down here, it's loose now. It's turning and the pulley's not anymore. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it, man, but open end, adjustable wrench, drop it there on that, and good old hammer. Give it a good couple whacks. You get lucky enough. Hopefully you get lucky enough. You don't need to go get that dumb tool to do this. But otherwise you got to put that stupid tool that goes in the back here and meets up with those little holes down that are on the pulley itself, and then it locks into place so that way the fan moves. Yada yada. Been doing fans for a long time, and this is how it's always worked. So yeah, let's see. Let's spin this old bitch off. Don't do that. But yeah, no more nasty, ugly 30 horsepower stealing fan fucking up my day. Oh, sorry, zoom mouth. Anyways, look at that room, man. There's nothing going back on there. It's done. It's over with. Don't have to worry about anything getting inside, contaminating, anything like that. Nothing's gonna leak. Everything's good. Minus the dripping still from that coolant up there. But yeah, man, everything's set here. So on to the next step. I'll show you guys when they get the fans in. So the electric fans are in now. I still have to wire them up, but they're in. They sit really flush. They open up that whole area down there. So through the future, if you want to, go ahead and put a bigger intake on it, maybe put a throttle body spacer, whatever you can, you're going to have plenty of room here, especially if you start going with any of those like aftermarket, high-end intake manifolds. You're gonna have plenty of room, bigger throttle bodies and all that kind of stuff. But while I am here, I was talking about how I spent some money and bit the bullet kind of thing. This one, it's really controversial. Nobody really can say yes or no. Everyone online is going to tell you, oh, it's just a paperweight. Other guys swear by them. And I've seen the dynos. I think you get maybe 3-4 horsepower out of it, but it gives a really cool sound and everything like that too. So you got a throttle body spacer if that's what you want to throw in there, and that's actually what I'm going to be doing today. That's going in along with a bunch of other parts too. Like I already took that. There's my intake, obviously. I already took that off, but we're going to be doing a lot of work here. I have all my quarts of the Dextron 6 or Dexron 6, because I'm switching over from the 3 to 6, so that way I can put that full synthetic in there and everything like that, and hopefully, have a longer lasting transmission. I'm going to do that. Going to be doing spark plugs. Going to do a complete oil change. Got the filter. Got a new fuel filter. Going to be putting that in. I already showed you the electric fans. Here's the wiring harness for it. And it's really cool. Like I said, I got it programmed already. Obviously, I said that a minute ago. But it's just great, man. You can do this whole setup. Buy your own electric fans. Buy your own wiring. Wire it all. Figure out where you got to put it. Figure out where you got to put everything. Your grounds, your power. Man, this thing, and you could probably do that for, I'd say, maybe $70 probably. But this one here, $90 on eBay. It's already got fuses in the lines. It's got both lines running to one power source here. You go ahead and drop that in your factory power supply that's on the truck right there. It's already got the relays in it that don't come with this year. So now it's going to be able to control your high speed, low speed, and your air conditioning. It's going to just plug directly into those fans that are OEM. And then you just have to take these pins right here. There's a blue pin and a green pin. I do believe blue is 42 and green is 33. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure those are the ones it goes into. Of course, I'm going to look again before I go plugging stuff into the ECM. But yeah, there's that. And then talking about biting the bullet and spending a little bit of money for upgrades. That's the throttle body spacer. This right here I'm going to be using to cut into my hard line that reads my transmission fluid return line. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm installing this. So we're going to throw an external trans cooler on the front of the truck here. It's going to end up going right behind the grill right there. And got my braided line so I can set up my lines. The actual hard line itself is a 3/8 hard line. It's just 3/8 hose, so that works out. I went and got all the fittings myself. I found the ones that I needed. All the different end fittings are going to work. These are going to go directly onto the braided line itself. Got a clamp for once I run the lines behind because I want to keep it clean. But then you have, these are the 10N to 6N adapters that go on top of the trans cooler itself. And then there's another one. Oh, they're in here somewhere. A couple of them. There we go. This is the compression fitting that's going to go on to the hard line itself. So after I cut it with that line cutter here that I went and bought, then this itself is going to just go onto the hard line. So this end, it's like I said, it's a compression fitting. Let's see, maybe I have enough light here to show you. Inside there, you see that little piece of brass in there? Once that squeezes down over the front of that line, it makes that good seal so that we're not going to get any leaking. But yeah, man, with all of that, the part that I'm probably looking forward to the most, though, I got some shorty headers to throw on there. Looking for that around town, 0 to 60 snap. And we're talking about that whole soccer mom thing. I ain't out drag racing that thing. That's the family wagon, like I said. I'm not looking for the long tube headers. I'm not looking for all of that high-end stuff. I want 0 to 60. I want it to sound bitchin', and I want to be able to just jump and go when I want. And those are going to help me out with that 0 to 60. So that's what we're going to be doing. Oh, back to the truck. So we're going to add the throttle body spacer. Now, with the throttle body spacer, what ends up happening here is you got to take off quite a bit of stuff here. Well, I guess, not really. So we're going to go ahead and loosen this, which I've already loosened everything up, so it's just going to be showing you for reference here. You're going to take your dust cover off. That's going to get pulled off. That's real simple. You're going to come down in here, and on the throttle body itself, you actually have these 3 posts. You have one up top, and you have 2 on the bottom here. And these posts have 10 millimeter nuts on them. I already took those off, too. They're sitting back there because I figured I'd want to do this while I'm in this area.
We will make America great again.
Text message. So, right down here, you have a line coming off that's one of your coolant lines. I went ahead and I already pinched that. So you have to disconnect that hose just so you can get this throttle body off. Now we'll go ahead and set that back over there out of the way real fast. But these posts here, they have to come off because the throttle body spacer, once it goes on there, this is how it's going to go on. Fits in there. It's a nice tight seal. Of course, if you put it in straight, there we go. That'll create a nice tight seal as soon as it's wrenched down. The thing is, though, is these posts are not long enough now for the actual throttle body itself to go back on. So the kit comes with extra screws here, which, of course, I just lost because, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to find those real quick. Let's see. Oh, where did my screws go? Okay, experiencing technical. Oops. Hi, Thor. You're a good boy. Yeah. That's why I couldn't find him. Fell on the floor. All right, so your kit's going to come with the individual spacers here. These are for a different engine or different year. Same engine, different year. But these are little spacers. They go up on the top up here because when you start moving stuff around, especially when you're adding a throttle body spacer and stuff like that, it needs... the dust cover needs to be repositioned for certain years, and I think for like the 6.0 and stuff like that. But the throttle body spacer fits a couple different engines. So here you have new bolts. This is nice, I gave you 4, even though you only need 3. So you have your new bolts here, which are going to replace these posts, because like I said, the posts are not long enough for the throttle body to get back on after the spacer has been installed. So you have to take out these posts, and the only way to get those posts out, they are torque heads. You can get close there, you can kind of see them, they have the little stars. And to get those off, let's pull this bad boy out of the way first. Only way to get those off is with a, where's it at? E5 is what it says it is. I don't know if that's just E because it's whatever, but that's the size star that goes on there. So let's go ahead and take those out, and then we'll go ahead and put the throttle body spacer on there with the new bolts, with the new throttle body, reconnect this line right here back down to that little spot that's just ever so lightly bubbling and leaking all over my truck. And yeah, I'll go ahead and jump back on here in a minute when I open up the computer here to see where those pins go and show you me plugging the wires in and yada yada. All right, be right back. All right, so last night I was putting these fans in. Was running out of daylight pretty quick, but I figured I'd have the fans in before the sun was gone and have it all wired up. Had it plugged in, had everything good to go. I have the fans and everything. I was just adding the last little 2 wires to the ECM, and while doing that, I got it in the first time, no problem. Realized that I had tangled up my wires in here when I ran it, so I had to slide the pin out of 42 again. When I went to go around the wires that I had tangled up in and slide the pin back in, right at the very end of it there, I mean, literally, man, I was like that much left of that pin to go in, just a tiny little amount, and I snapped the damn pin. So, needless to say, if you're going to be doing this job and you're going to be doing that, be very, very careful with these pins. Unfortunately now, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, even the dealerships, nobody had the pins. I could either order it online and wait a couple days and get the pins, or go to the dealership and have them send it up from another dealership, which is what I ended up doing. So I won't get those till tomorrow morning. But it kind of changed up the game plan yesterday because I planned on having quite a bit done, and now I'm at a standstill with these fans. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump underneath it now. I'm gonna start pulling off these old exhaust manifolds and get the shorty headers ready to put on there. And while I'm doing that, do the trans, the oil, and all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, man, be careful. It's super delicate. I didn't think it was gonna be that delicate, but damn. So now I'm waiting, man. Truck's gonna be guaranteed down for at least another day. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the headers and go ahead and get the tires off, get it jacked up, all that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there. All right. Alright guys, so we're underneath now. We're going to go be doing the oil and the transmission fluid both. Just kind of hit it with a little bit of power washer yesterday because, I mean, it's old, it's oily, if there's leaks, there's, you know. Anyways, so we're going to be taking this drain plug out right here. This is a 15 millimeter. And then this drain plug out here, that's a 15 millimeter also. And then our oil filter will be right there when we go to pull that. But I'm going to go ahead and be doing it in this bucket, only because of the fact that it's so much fluid that I'm draining out right now. My normal fluid catcher can or pan, or you say oil change pan or whatever, is, obviously we're supported by jack stands. It's only holds like 4 quarts or something like that, so we're gonna cheat a little bit today and use a little bigger of a container. That way I can start the process on both of them at the same time. I can get this one going and this one going here. So let's go ahead and see how that works out. Alright, so I drained the oil and took off the filter. I'm gonna make sure that those mating surfaces are clean at all times there. Once you, at least with the new install, you know, you can go ahead and wipe it down real good with a rag, get it all nice and clean and stuff like that, especially before you throw your new filter on there. But something I wanted to talk about here, and a lot of people don't know this, which is kind of ridiculous, but you'd be surprised. Don't cinch down your filter really, really tight. You don't have to. They make those seals that are on the end of those, as a matter of fact, here. You know, there's seals, this ring here, that you don't have to tighten. Now look at the thread on the inside of that. There's not a gang of thread there, so really if you tighten it down too tight, you're going to end up having massive issues trying to take your filter off later on. But you just got to get it to snug. As soon as you get it to snug, do a quarter turn and you're good. You don't have to wrench it down like it's going to, you know, fall off your car. And then I got the K&N, which is actually pretty cool because if, just say it did get on there too tight, it's got a 1-inch nut on top, which is pretty cool, which you only want to use for removal. You definitely don't want to do that for installation because you'll break the little forge weld that's around here and end up with a small leak. But yeah, so I mean, that's real simple like that. And then another thing I do also recommend too is you take just a little bit of, even your spent oil is perfect for this, but just dab your finger, run it around the seal, you know, that way you have a wet seal, so it's just not going on there, just rubber to metal. And of course it's not going to hurt, it's not going to make it to leak or anything like that, it's not going to force anything negative. It's actually the way I've always done it. So yeah, like I said, that filter's just going to go right on there. Put your finger on it, do a quick little spin all the way up until it's flush, and then a quarter turn, hand tight. That's all it takes. You don't have to, you know, wrench it down real tight. Hell, I just took my old one off when I took it off by hand. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that new one on there, and then I'll show you real quick. So real quick pause here. Okay, so like I was saying, got the filter on. I can spin it all the way up till it stops. There, it stopped, right? Just by the spin. So now, just a quarter turn, and it's good. That's it, man. Filter's on, it's snug, it's not going to leak. I mean, you could probably even get a little bit tighter by hand. So I'd say, you know, 1/3 turn kind of thing. But that's pretty much it, man. You don't need to cinch it down any tighter than that. There's absolutely no reason for it. You will end up stripping out that area on the inside, or even, well, the most likely thing you're going to do is this is going to get stuck, and it doesn't matter what you do, because if you don't get the one with the nut on there, you're going to be shoving a screwdriver through it or all this different stuff, because unlike other vehicles, the clearance to get in here, you only have access to that much of your filter. So I mean, it's pretty tiny. You can't really get an oil wrench around that. It's impossible. I've actually stabbed the very first time I did the oil on this one, I had to stab it with the screwdriver to get it out. So yeah, and then we're going to be doing the fuel filter right here. On that, it's going to be which I already broke that one loose, so that's why it's wet. This one over here, it's going to be on the inside diameter is a 20. on that size there, and then the outside is a 16 on the millimeters. Now, a lot of people don't have the 16 millimeter wrenches, so you end up getting stuck with like a 5/8, I think is what ends up working on there. Just be real careful, because you're not using the exact cut. You can really roll these edges and stuff on these nuts pretty bad. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that out next since I'm already down here. And then as for the transmission, well, turns out that this bolt is horribly rounded off. I don't know who the hell worked on this or when the last time it was done, but they fucked that bolt up. So now I got to go through and loosen them all up around the sides and stuff like that, and drop one side down low before the other side, and it's just going to be a headache now and an even bigger mess. But that's what you got to do when you got to give an old truck some love. So I'll probably pull that back up as soon as I have that side dropped and draining there, so I can show you what I'm talking about. Alright, be back in a minute, guys. Alright, so we're back now, and I got the other side unhooked. Let's see if I can see it over here. Kind of through there a little bit. You can see it? Yeah, there it is. So guys, you're going to take this fuel in here, you're going to push it just kind of out of the way. You can see here, it just moves out of the way some. Or unsnap it from there, and that works really well too. And this filter just pushes out. Some fuel in there. There you go, there's that. Set that off to the side. And voila. Alright, technical difficulties there. The filter, I guess, didn't want to go in. It decided to run, hit my driveway, and just rolled. So, anyways, there we go. Fitment of new filter. The hell? There we go. All right. So obviously, you're just going to do it in reverse. This is going to tighten in here. Like I said again, this is a 19, no, not 19, a 16 or a 5/8. And then this one's a 20 here. And the same thing on this side over here, right there. Just got to push it back in there and get it in. You know, snap the fuel line in place kind of thing. That might help a little bit with our fitment there. And then just tighten it all back down. All right. So apparently the last person who owned this Suburban that I'm working on right now, my Suburban now, either they took it to a really shoddy mechanic or they thought they were a fucking mechanic. I just got to go underneath and try to take my transmission pan off, but the actual drain plug is completely rounded off. So somebody got on there and wrenched the shit out of it with the wrong size socket, or they probably used a 12 tooth or whatever the hell. I don't know what the... So it gets even better than that, though. So I go down and I'm like, well, I guess I'll do it the old school messy way, you know. Loosen up all the bolts, drop the passenger side, let it drain out some so I can get into the driver's side and undo that side and drop it down. Needless to say, I got underneath it, and when I started to go to take those bolts out, I didn't even need a wrench. I could have literally put the socket on there with my hand and turned it. They were all completely loose, and they had red Loctite at the end of them. So I'm not sure if this mechanic just forgot to tighten them down, if he figured because there was Loctite on them already that they were fine. I'm telling you, man, I hate mechanics or really shoddy ones. You know, oh bro, I'll change your transmission, or hey, I'll change your fluid, you know, like $20, man. All right, cool. Yeah, well, I guess that's the downside of owning a vehicle that somebody else previously owned. And what's crazy about it too, though, is I'm the second owner of this vehicle technically, because it belonged to a soccer mom, and I say that, you know, in reference to the fact that I said it's a soccer mom vehicle. But it was this lady down the hill, man, and she, well, down the hill from me. I'm up in the high desert, so we're in the mountains. LA is down the hill for us. And I guess she had her last kid go off to college, and after that she decided she wanted a little BMW, so she went to this import tuner shop kind of thing, and exotic cars, whatever you call it, and traded in this Suburban for a two-door Beamer. And the guys who owned it, or owned the business, they had no idea how to work on the vehicle, had no idea what was wrong with it, how to do anything to it. They worked with nothing but BMW, Porsche, all that kind of stuff. So am I the second owner? If you count that dealership owning it for about a month, that would make me a third owner. But they're a dealership, so they don't count. So yeah, I'm second owner of this thing, but I don't know who the hell she had to work on it. So yeah, I'm just taking a break. Frustration. Yeah. All right, man. So check this out. Ended up getting it out, and the seal, man. The seal. Fragile, super just brittle. Didn't even try to break it, and it broke all on its own. And then, like I said, I don't know who the last person that worked on this was. That's pretty bad, man. Look at the bottom of that pin. Stupid shadow. Hold on. Look at that. The magnet, ready? Look at that, man. Foul. Straight metal. But yeah, so I'm gonna get it cleaned up. Gotta figure out what the hell's going on with this drain plug up here. Maybe I can get it out and get a new one in before I throw the pan back in. I know it's magnetic and doesn't seem like it did much, but that's definitely not good. Well, good thing I'm cleaning her out. I'll show you the finished product when it's done. I don't even have problems with the gaskets and the mating surfaces. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get going back on it then. Alright, look at that. Nice and clean, man. Magnet's all clean, nothing there anymore. Check the new gasket out. Looks like we line up pretty good. All the holes are there in the right. Oop. Put it backwards. Yeah. Gasket lines up, all the holes line up. There we go. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to this. And then I went ahead and I am running an external transcooler here. Man, so I didn't know I had a stock one in here. I was planning on adding one that I didn't have, but apparently I did have it. But let me look at the size comparison here. This is the old transcooler. So, I mean, it's pretty whatever, but look at the size difference we got going on here. This one sits right there. That's a lot smaller, super thin. Look at the thickness of that one compared to it. Tiny little thing, nice big one. So it shouldn't have any problems with the trans overheating. I am going to be chopping those a little bit farther back, throwing some AND fittings on them, getting my braided cable on it. Already getting those started up. So I made that one. And of course that one's going to screw onto the top there and it's going to run back here. I got to do a couple more. Set up my inlet and outlet lines and get it all back in, and then those. Oh, so looking forward to getting these on too. Figure since I was already going to have to drop the exhaust manifold, well, the Y pipe at least, why not do it, man? Bit the bullet and jumped in on it full steam. So got that going. I told you I broke the pins, so haven't finished that, but the fans are in there. Just got to finish up the wiring down here. But I figured, screw it, I'll work under. So, well, that one's going to be nice when I'm done with it. Got to get some new headlights. Unfortunately, having a conversation with my dad there, and talking about this thing and trying to figure out why the old one broke instead of just coming off how it's supposed to. And leaned up against this, and well, I'll be here tomorrow. New headlights. So, I guess she's getting a whole new little look to her, but alright, I'm going to keep going. Alright, and so as it turns out, after I dropped my trans pan to do the filter and everything like that, I had mentioned how every single one of those bolts was completely loose and it was just hand tight all the way around. Well, I also realized afterwards that I only had 15 of my 16 bolts. So after calling all the different stores in town, of course it's Saturday, called all the different stores in town. I called Napa, I called O'Reilly, I called AutoZone, I called another little parts shop that we have up here. Nobody has these trans-pan bolts at all. So I went ahead and took the trans-pan bolt, one of them that I had, went on down to AutoZone to their little spinning rack there, and they have, you know, high-grade bolts and nuts and everything like that right there. But it's not, it's just a mix match of everything. And as it turns out, the M8 1.25 times 20 millimeter, that is the exact same size bolt that comes off the trans-pan. So if you ever get stuck in a predicament where you rounded something off or you don't have a bolt like I did, those bolts are the exact same size. I took it in there and when I walked over their little testing plate that they have there that, you know, lets you check out the thread and stuff like that so you can get your exact fitment on it. Because I wanted to be 100% sure. I didn't want to get parts and be like, oh yeah, these look right, take them home, and then they not fit kind of thing. So as of right now, I am heading to the other AutoZone because I figured since I'm going to do it, I want to replace all 16 of them, not just one or two. So now I'm heading to the other one because this AutoZone only had 2 4-packs. So now I'm going to go get 2 more 4-packs over at the other AutoZone, the other side of town. And the only thing you do have to do is pick up washers because these nuts come with, or not the nuts, but the bolt themselves come with a washer on it. So you're going to have to pick up washers because the ones that come on the rack don't have them. So, I mean, it's another, what, they're like I think they're $3.99, so $4 a box. So just another, you know, $20. Just another $20, you know? But yeah, so I'm heading over there now and get back to throwing that pan back on, finishing up the headers, and drop it, fill the transmission fluid back up, do the whole flush on it, so that way, because I'm jumping from the Dexron 3 to the Dexron 6, so I swear I've done nothing but run around and get little things. It makes you realize just how ill-equipped you are, or what tools you're missing when you start wrenching on your own stuff. Even worse is when it's tools that I already had that now I can't find. So, gonna go get that done. Alright, so we are officially done with that. Look at that. Alright, so that's done. We have the fans in. Those are done. Those are all wired up. They are grounded. I'm going to end up screwing this box in my PCM right here, just so that way my relays are nice and tight there. But everything is wired. Dropped a ground right there onto the bottom of the ground bracket. Alright, right there. Ran the power wires up in here. Dropped on the main terminal there. Just got to plug everything back in. Drop throttle body spacer, along with all the new bolts and everything I had to put in for the trans pan and everything like that. Ended up having to get some new headlights too. So I got new headlights, also got the new fog lights down there. Never had them before, just had a wire hanging and just kind of bouncing around for a long time. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get her all hooked back up and everything like that. Only ended up running into one issue, and I got to go see the muffler shop because, as you can see down in there, yeah, buddy, shorty headers are in, except for the driver's side. Driver's side, the flange ended up being about 180 degrees out, crooked. So take it over to the shop, they cut it, spin it, weld it, and attach it. But I'm really proud about this one right here. That's the one, man. All right.